periodically on my phone is right here, and I have some questions in an email. I will be monitoring the little message board here. But hi, people. This is Ben. Over there is Andrea and Matt. And the whole goal of this, if you were wondering, is just to have some interaction with people instead of just talking at a microphone. Like, it gives people an opportunity to just chat, be interactive, do something different. And I thought it would be a good test case to do it with you two. And yesterday didn't really work out. I did one in the morning, worked out really well. Didn't work out, so we're doing this again. So hang with me.
Oh, look, there's Linda.
Oh, hi, Linda.
Linda, I just finished my training that was on my schedule. It was good.
And I had to go pick her up so she wouldn't ride too long.
Yeah, tell us what happened, Andrea. While I'm checking, make sure this is all functioning.
So Linda, being the good coach that she is, cut my volume of my workouts back so my immune system wouldn't get all fucky. That's
Gotcha.
a technical term. And this workout normally ends with like 30 or 40 minutes or something worth of just kind of easy pedaling. And so you do like a long bout of zone 3 pedaling, and then normally it would be like 30 or 40 minutes to like get home. And I finished my interval, and I was going back down the hill where I'd finished my interval, and I got to the bottom, and I heard my Wahoo beep at me, and I looked, and it's like end ride, and I'm like, no, not end ride. I have to get home. But it would have been like a little more than a 3-hour ride if I had ridden all the way home. So I just called Matt and was like, I'm all right, but can you come get me?
I think that's okay. I think Linda will be. Yeah. Oh, she said she's going to Training Peaks to check on it now.
Yeah, she's going to check in on me.
And that's the reason that right now I'm eating, is because I was going to be the best ever, and I was going to run the dog, and then I was going to come home and make lunch. And instead I came home and I'm like,
yeah, he was breathing really hard when he called back, and I'm like, damn, I wonder what he was doing. Like,
and I was like, so I guess I can come get you, but it's going to be tight. So I didn't have lunch ready when Andrea got home, and we had to have lunch now.
So here is Matt's. Well, usually in podcast recordings, you're usually slurping on something.
Yeah, usually that's
love
kind of
the snack.
That's like a running theme with us, is whatever meal comes before we record a podcast, it leaks into the first 10 minutes of the podcast.
Or it seems that you're just cooking it as you're recording, and then you eat after. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
last time
Linda,
it was hot potatoes.
Linda, Frank, I'm not sure who's Zero Ack.
Garrett?
I always forget.
It's Garrett.
Yeah,
right?
that's who it is. I'm pretty sure.
He does the really cool drawings, and he gave us one,
yes.
and it's amazing, and it's on the wall.
Yeah.
It's in the upstairs bathroom, like the master bathroom wall.
Those noodles were so good. I have to clean my mouth.
Slurping or pounding on the keyboard. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So, Andrew, I think, so we did get a big donation the other day from Alec, and he's a longtime supporter, listener. It seems like a lot of people are interested in the Tour Divide efforts. And like you just said, you were talking a little bit about that. His note, so sorry, people, this is, I'm on here trying to pull up the notes here. A couple questions. I think we could start there. About Andrea, how are you feeling mentally as the event is getting closer? 2, do you think you are on track or have any comments about how training is going? 3, do you have a target time or time range? Do you want to you don't have to go in total detail, but do you want to tackle any of those?
Right now, whether or not Tour Divide happens is sketchy. So I can't really, I can tell you what I was like before, we like went into isolation and borders started closing. I could tell you how that was, but now everything's pretty up in the air. Okay,
so then tell me how that was, and then how you're dealing with that mentally. Because it's not easy to be like, well, I'm not sure. It's like the Olympians, for example, right?
Yeah.
So they were
yeah,
training,
for
doing
sure.
all the training, and now it was up in the air, and now they finally canceled it the next year. So you can be like, all right, replan.
Yeah, like I wish they would. So even if it's not canceled right now, just because I am cutting back on training, which I don't disagree with at all. I know Linda's listening. You know, cutting back on training for a while, I wouldn't necessarily feel physically at my best. I think before all of this, I was definitely on track. I was hammering out, like 14-hour training week, like 14 hours in 3 days, and feeling like not dead at the end of it. So definitely was on track for it. And I feel like now I'm kind of doing my best to maintain what I've got and also stay healthy. I wish they would just, Matt Lee would just be like, hey, we're just not doing it this year.
Yeah.
Because it is a big kind of internal conflict of maybe if it does happen, if borders are back open, if the services along the route, I think, are going to be a tough thing also, because I think some of the little like mom and pop type stuff, like even if they are allowed to be back open, they may not be. And, maybe they went out of business because they lost their like springtime business or whatever. Like, I think this year's not a good year for it. So I'm still pretty, I'm kind of like 75% thinking I'm not going to do it, 25% being like, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah. And
there's a chance.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The other thing about it too is if you're going to keep the same time frame and you're going to do the same thing, it just doesn't feel right. Right? We all come out of this. Let's say we come out of this and we're kind of back to, I don't even know, 50% come mid-May, right? We've kind of, but to then go out there and then do this kind of thing, it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I have like a rough draft right now of something that I wrote that I was going to put somewhere on the internet or see if someone wanted to publish it, just about kind of like talking about athletes and what a lot of athletes are going through right now, because I feel like a lot of athletes, they're watching their events get canceled, and no matter how small or how big it is, when something that you've been working really hard to prepare for is canceled, like you kind of go through like this mourning process, but at the same time you feel a little bit ashamed about that because like there's so much bad shit happening right now. It's like my stuff doesn't really matter, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't really suck when that happens.
Yeah. Okay. If anybody has any questions, feel free to chime in on the chat too. Garrett says, can't wait to follow that dot. And Linda, when you said picked her up, I was hoping you meant picked her up in the car and not off the floor. That's good. That's good.
And just so we're clear, I was perfectly capable of getting back up the hill myself, but I would have been like real rushed to get to this recording, and I would have been like half an hour over the amount of time Linda told me to ride.
More rushed.
Yeah.
More
rushed.
Okay. So agreed. Oh, Trenton. Cool. Hi, Trenton. How's it going? Okay. So can we tackle one question? Not that we're stealing it from the podcast, but we are. Can we tackle a question? You want to tackle a question? Okay.
Sure.
And like I said, people, if you're watching this and you have any questions, now's your chance. It could be anything, preferably not like what bike is best stuff. Just anything but that. Maybe something
Rebel
like
rascal.
You probably won't get a serious answer if you ask that.
Yeah. Gotta now watch you in my all company virtual meeting. Good. Ben, we're distracting people from their business. Sounds good. All right, let's tackle this and see what comes up. All right, so we have Paul's MTB rides. I'm just going to read this off. All right. So, hey, JRA, I'm curious what you guys think about this. Since last fall, I've been experiencing clunk. It's really hard to read so I'm reading this like this, and then off to my right, I see Matt waving at me. All right, since last. Oh, see, this is what I like about doing this is it's real. Like I've been watching a lot of
I'll be
the
serious.
best example. No. I'll get back to this in a second. This is a side note that's really funny, and I think it brings a human touch to all of this. Like, this is one of the good things I see happening with this is like, it doesn't. I did put this banner here just because there's rafters and such, and I had it around. So I was like, oh, a mountain bike radio banner. That'll work. I'll put my mountain bike radio hat on. Good. But it's just
NASCAR.
It brings out very much human stuff. And a good example is yesterday, Dan Patrick. I don't know if anybody out there is a big sports fan, but Dan Patrick's been doing commentating and sports shows and sports talk for 30 years. And they're all in different places. It's him and 4 other guys that kind of run the show. So he has 4 assistants, and they're in the studio normally, and they're all in different spots. One's in the studio, and 3 are at home. And one of them yesterday, they're mid-section of talking about something, and this guy's wife is crawling on the floor. You could see her crawling on the floor around, and her ass is just right in the camera because it's right there, and she's trying to sneak around, and it was just really funny.
Like naked ass?
No, it wasn't naked, but it was like
okay.
Front and center in the can. Like you could see his head, and then right, like her ass was like right here crawling away from him, and it was really funny. So it's just, and we all are very accepting of that. It's no big deal. Like 2 months ago, we'd been like, oh my God, seriously? And now it's just like, yeah, whatever. We're all trying to, so that's what I appreciate. I don't know what my point was there, but just being able to laugh and be goofy is kind of important.
Being more human.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Let me just start over. Since last fall, I've been experiencing a clunk kind of noise and feel in the top 5 millimeters of stroke on my shock. You sure it's not the top 6 millimeters? Man. For your information, maybe it's 7. I don't know. It seems like he's probably kind of estimating that with that 5 millimeters.
I usually feel a clunk in the last few millimeters.
Okay. For your information, my bike is
there's a bottom out bumper.
I don't think you have that I don't think you have that problem, Matt. All right. For your information, my bike is a 2016 YT Capra. I talked to a few guys online, mistake 1, about this clunk, and they all told me to check my pivot bearings. I had replaced the whole set in December 2018 when I got replaced the seat stay after it got cracked in a crash. So this pivot set only has 1 summer on them. I took it all apart. This is too long. He has clunking. His pivot has a threaded sleeve that separates the frame bolt from the bearings. So I loosened the sleeve. This is just ongoing. Okay, so I live in Wisconsin, by the way, so it was 28 degrees. He's experiencing issues when he takes it outside, 28 degrees, and then when he got to Kentucky, the problem was gone again. So it looks like as it warmed up, he was having this clunking. To me, it feels like stiction at the top of the stroke. So when we got home, I decided to take it back apart and tear apart the shock. I've done 2 basic services on the shock since I've owned the bike brand new. The damper fluid is old and very dirty. This bike sounds like a turd, and you should replace every part of
it. Yeah, I was going to say, if it hasn't had a damper service since 2016, that's where I would start. And even if that's not going to solve your problem, your bike needs a damper service right now.
Also, he did send a bunch of pictures of that, and I looked at it. And I sent those pictures to a buddy of mine at SRAM, and I haven't responded yet because I was going to call him and talk about it over the phone. I just texted him some pictures real quick. There's something wrong with that shock. There shouldn't be any wear on that the red anodized seal head has wear on it, and there's wear on the inside of the what would be the stanchion. So in the damper body, there's wear, and that just doesn't look good. I think that there's a bigger problem. I think when that bike was cracked, it potentially was side loading, but I don't really have a good answer as to what would make it do that. But that's just my guess is that it's side loaded. And anything that side loads kills things, and anything that kills things should be thrown away, like X7.
Okay, so we have so thank you guys for joining in here. We have Joe, Ron, Frank is throwing in some questions. Okay.
I had a question on Instagram.
Randy. Tammy, I needed this distraction. Thanks. Trenton said hi. What rear tire should I run? Just kidding, Garrett.
Recon.
Okay, go ahead. Azure, go ahead. You had a question on Instagram?
Yes, I did. And this is from, let me just see if he's in here.
And hi, Joe. Joe said faces.
Oh, look.
He was here yesterday. Clayton didn't make it in today.
Okay, yeah, Clayton
okay.
Was here yesterday, and he asked me a question on Instagram. He says, "What do you do to keep your mind occupied on your long training rides? I have my ways, but always curious to hear others." It kind of depends on the training ride. If it's a road ride, sometimes I'll listen to music. Not always though. Like if I have so it kind of depends. I always have a bunch of stuff going on in my head. Sometimes I use a bike ride to sort through that and sort of meditate on things. And I'll usually feel better about it or have an answer by the end of the bike ride. If I don't want to sort through things and kind of like get into whatever's running through my head, I'll listen to music. Usually when I'm doing intervals, it's music. If it's a really long ride, I might have my headphone. I wear like a single headphone. I don't wear both. I might, just have it with me in case I just get tired of listening to myself, and then I'll turn some music on. But I'll listen to Pandora in offline mode. I was thinking about doing YouTube music for the Divide, if that happens. So I can just have more variety.
Oh. Can't you just do that with like Pandora or any of those? You just have a station?
If you're doing an offline station, it will use your top, I think, 5 listen to stations. And it basically downloads about 2 to 3 hours worth of songs that you can listen to offline.
Oh, cool.
But you get eventually they start repeating, and occasionally there's some kind of a glitch where it will only download a couple of the songs in a station, and it'll just play 2 songs for that station over and over again, which really sucks. Yeah. Like I put it on one station today. It was supposed to be like a mix of different, it was Thumbprint Radio, if any of you use Pandora, which should give you like a few songs from each.
That is your thumb, right, Matt?
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So Thumbprint Radio will give you like.
Oh, wait a minute.
Like 2 or 3 songs.
Oh, it's just like you're like this. Look at my. You're like this.
You know what? I'm just gonna go.
No,
and you guys can.
Okay, so
can
Thumbprint Radio.
Jokes for the rest of the broadcast.
Thumbprint Radio. Well, it's funny because I'm trying to pay attention, and then I look over. I just glance over at Matt's like this. So I'll check that out.
Yeah. So Pandora. Sorry, you guys are just fucking me up.
Yeah.
But Thumbprint Radio is one of my offline stations, and today I turned that on for my bike ride, and it started playing 2 different Eminem songs over and over. Gotcha. So I turned it off because no one needs that much Eminem in there.
Yeah, it's a lot. So what are you guys doing right now with the given situation? What is that?
A steer tube piece?
I cut my fork yesterday.
Oh yeah. So talk about that. You showed I saw on Instagram you were showing off your new fancy blue fork. That blue is really awesome, by the way. That they like you got me starting to think of selling my and this isn't normal for me to see something be like, man, kind of want that. So go ahead and talk about it.
So RockShox released 2 new SIDs 10 days ago. So they did that on Tuesday the 17th, and I had one on order. They weren't gonna ship it until the product they shipped it the day before the embargo, and then with everything going on, it just took a little bit longer for it to leave SRAM and then get to the local bike shop and then get from the local bike shop to me. So I just got that night before last, and I installed so they made two forks, and they are the SID and the SID SL. And personally, I'm always going to refer to them as the SID 35 and the SID SL.
The Pike World Cup.
A long time ago, if you go way back, you do go way, way back. Get in the Wayback Machine.
Well, somebody said something about a time machine too. It'd be nice if you
they
could
said
use
they
that
need the
time
time
machine
machine right now. I think we all do.
Yeah, we all do.
But
yeah. So
it doesn't exist. So just go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we know of.
But I ordered the SID with a 35 millimeter chassis. So yeah, like if you go way back, we had been asking for this when Fox released the Stepcast 34, which was shortly after Old Pueblo. It was like Sea Otter of 2018 because I saw that fork at Old Pueblo in 2018. It was on Chris Cocalis's bike, and I was like, "Ooh, it's actually going to come, cool." And I was a good boy, and I didn't like talk too much about it, but Joe says Pike Ultimate, which is the problem is there is a Pike Ultimate now. Ultimate is a designation of a damper at this point.
Pike World Cup.
Right. So essentially what we were asking for was we were referring to it as a Pike World Cup, and that is what SRAM delivered with the 35 mil chassis SID. It is a 35 millimeter chassis that is limited to a maximum of 120 travel. And with that, you just get one option. It's 2944 offset. And then when I say one option, you get one
size.
You get one size, and then you get all the normal options within that. So they're going to do an ultimate and a select model. There is no carbon. They avoided using carbon. They were able to make the product lighter, just as stiff, and much cheaper by avoiding using a carbon CSU assembly, which is really cool. No carbon crown, no carbon steer. So that's really great. The uppers, wouldn't have been carbon anyways, but they shaved or forewent the carbon. What are you doing?
Just pushing you.
So they forewent carbon. They have forewent. Who cares? And the fork is really good. It is lighter than a Stepcast 34 by about 150 grams, according to Bike Rumor. They did the thing where they weighed them, put them on scales. Pretty definitive. The thing that I think is the coolest, there's two things that the fork does that are really cool. First one is it's designed for a minimal amount of sag. So because it has minimal sag, the bike sits a little higher in the travel. And because it sits a little higher in the travel, bottom bracket's higher. We all know that I had a sticker made that says "Long live high bottom brackets," so I'm really pumped. With that, the damper is very supportive, and it pedals very well out of the saddle. So if you stand and pedal, you don't really need to lock it out. But if you do lock it out,
is it pretty good?
Well, they were like, "It's the stiffest lockout we've ever made," and I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, guys." And then I locked it out, and like you normally, it moves a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You can like flex your bar, like the bar flexes and the fork doesn't move. It's sick. So
yeah.
the one thing I really like is it sits higher in the travel. The second thing that I really like is the way that the crown mounted lockout functions. So generally one would grab the lockout and twist it with their thumb, and they would twist it all the way closed. And then when you were ready to unlock it, you would reach down and like roll it open or upside down, flip it open. Once you roll this one to about 50% open, it spring loads the rest of the way around. So you can kind of slap it with your thumb and it just pops open. So it's really cool. I did pay for the fork.
How much does that retail for? Well, the two versions, do you know? Is it really expensive or just pretty normal? I forgot. I looked the other day. I just couldn't remember offhand. It didn't seem too outrageous.
Well, it's because it's not carbon.
Right.
So the new SID is
$800 basically. Oh, wait, no, that's the blue one, $1,000.
That's an old one because it's carbon.
I could find it.
I should know that.
So what bike did you put it on?
I put it on my Y S7, so it's their hour there. It's titanium. It's made for 27.5 plus. You can run at 29. Of course, I'm running at 29. Currently have it set up single speed because, well, I don't really.
You don't like 27.5 plus? Why not? It's the best.
I don't know.
It's so much fun.
You know, it's like, oh God, I'm really trying to find the cost of this shock, and I'm struggling.
That's fine. People can Google it.
But I feel like I have to know now.
We'll find it. Was somebody else out there? They're not. We had. I think.
Yeah, they're
Ben.
just sitting there listening to us.
Yeah, Ben just sent me. Ben just sent me a text saying he had to put us on mute now because people are talking on his other video conference.
So it looks like the Sid SL is $800.
Okay.
I'm assuming the other one is the same cost. So the Sid SL Ultimate is $800. So, but yeah, they made 2 models, and those 2 models answer directly to the Stepcast 34 and the Stepcast 32. Obviously, the 35 mil chassis one is the 120, and it can't go any longer, just like a Stepcast 34 can. It's limited to 120 maximum travel, and it rips. And then they've made the Sid SL, and it is 32 mil stanchions limited to 100 mils only, and it is like way lighter too. So I think the 35 mil version saves 150 over a 34, and then the 32 saves like 130 grams over the Stepcast 32. So, and of course, that is comparing the new Sid to Stepcast products only. I wouldn't compare that to a standard 34 because that's not apples to apples. And this one person says that I make a mistake by ordering a 34 Stepcast instead of a new Sid 120 for my old Jet 9.
How old is your old Jet 9?
Yeah,
you might have just made a mistake of ordering a new fork for an old Jet 9 if it's like super hammered and clapped out. All right, like, are we talking about like first gen, like alloy, or?
Oh, that 80 mil one.
I think the Jet 9's always been either 100 or 120.
No, the original alloy Jet 9 was 80 in the rear.
Oh, I meant like front fork.
Oh,
not suspension travel.
Possibly. So the answer would be possibly yes.
They do have a carbon version.
Okay. Everyone look at the internet.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm just reading Garrett Pike or Fox 36 for me. Roman says they do have a carbon version of
I think the previous Sid 32 had a carbon version, but I don't think the new one has a carbon version.
Yeah, the one, if you found something carbon, look closely. If it's 51 offset, it's probably an old Sid that they still have stock for. So
gotcha. Frank.
It's a 2012.
Crown and steer. Roman says crown and steer of the Sid.
Right, carbon. But it may be an old Sid because they did Sid carbon. Yeah. Like, I don't think that there's any carbon in the new ones in either chassis size.
Okay.
But that thing,
so I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
That thing's good. What I would say though is it is fairly.
That's one place where they cut weight out.
They cut weight out, but the article that I read on Bike Rumor, when they were comparing weights, they were comparing like apples to apples. So they used 2 cut forks for the same bike, and the steer is a lot shorter than you would find on your normal fork. So I didn't have to cut. I only cut about an inch of steer tube off of the fork when I put it on my extra large frame. I did leave the factory maximum amount of like extra steer because you never know what's going to happen in the future.
You never know if there's going to be another bike to put that on.
I mean, there's always bikes, right?
Of course.
So, yeah. But yeah, I got my shipment from SRAM came with 4 parts in the box. So I got a Sid. I got an Axis upgrade group. I got a gold or a rainbow cassette and a rainbow chain. So I've got some really, really cool stuff to play with. But I have my bike set up single speed right now because I don't know. It would be too hard to like actually get my new parts and put them on all at once.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be hard. It's just not how I do
Matt,
it.
it's pretty much once a year, Matt decides to make his bike single speed, and he rides it twice and is like, why the fuck is my bike single speed?
Right. Okay. So this isn't not along the single speed thing, but okay. So I had this question. I don't know if it was about you. I don't know. I've talked to so many people last week. I can't even remember who it was, but so you guys, Andrea Moore, you've been racing the last few years. I mean, it's like bigger things and not like racing all the time. And Matt, you've pretty much transitioned to being like, yeah, I'm good, right? When you go through this process of like, I'm training hard, I'm racing, and then you kind of go, I'm just gonna have fun for a while.
I just like Leadville popped me really hard, and I just don't have time to race now. Like I literally don't know of any race that I could do in 20. There's one race I can do in 2020. So just from a logistics standpoint of like being on the road and traveling and knowing where I'll be and knowing what I can shoot for, there's only one, maybe, who knows? So,
okay. Well, I was just curious. The reason I asked that is it's now that we're in the situation we're in, where nobody knows if we're going to have any events this year or how it's going to work going forward with large groups of people. And I've seen it a ton and I've heard it quite a bit already is, why am I even doing this? And I'm just curious your thoughts. I mean, I know kind of all three of us are kind of shifted. It used to be if you'd have talked to us like 6 years ago, it's like, all right, next event, training, pushing, doing this like all the time. And I'm not that person anymore. There's certain challenges and things I want to do, and it doesn't mean racing all the time. I'm just curious, you two, what your thoughts are as far as that, and what do you have any of those thoughts now? It's like, well, it's even less important kind of thing.
Racing, just
yeah.
Like, well, I mean, I figured it out year before last when I took a summer off from racing.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm kind of a shit show if I don't have that, like just kind of that motivation to train, and it all just rolls into a routine pretty much, like you kind of base everything else you do off of what you're training for, and you base what your everyday exercise has a goal of making you ready for something, even if it's something really small.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even training to win stuff. It's training to be at your best on a certain day and not have any on that day, you don't have any regrets or questions in your head. Like, did I prepare right? It's like, no, you do everything that you can. You train as hard as you can and you rest as hard as you can. You base your whole, everything you do off of that. And then when you take that away, or you just don't do it. I mean, at least for me, I just didn't function very well like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm still pretty like I've cut it way back as far as how many events that I do, but I still like to have something in the future to work towards.
How about you, Matt?
For me, I think
I guess the better question is, does now change anything? Does the current situation change anything from what you were already thinking?
Well, for me personally, like I have an indefinite amount of time off the road at this point. So I'm actually getting more fit now with like I have more structure and more knowns. Mm-hmm. So I can actually get kind of fit. But my big thing is like, I know that I have to be fit because when I show up anywhere that I go, I only go places where the weather's not nice. I'm not going to go somewhere where it's 35 degrees and raining and the trails are closed. Like as the demo driver, I don't do that. I go to places where you can ride your bike, and I go to places where it's like really, really good shot that like the trails are going to be really good. Like I don't go places that are a baby, So when I get there, it's like, oh, no one's going to say to me like, hey man, like we got this little easy 6-mile loop we do sometimes. Let's just go soft pedal to the top and drink a brewski and cruise back down. It's like, fucking get it, boy.
Yeah.
You know, like, so
time to kill the rep.
Or not even kill the rep, but just like, dude, we got this really good shit. And like, I want to make sure that you see it. And it's hard. And that's totally fine. Like I said, I did that ride in Sedona. I said this in the podcast. I did a ride in Sedona with like Lars, who's apparently like a Sedona legend, and like Nate Hills and a bunch of people that are really fast. So I was just like, you know, and I didn't stand a chance to keep it. Like, you know, and then when
how were you?
And then when I was in Sedona, like, so I did that ride on like a.
How was that again? Let me see that. Let me get a picture here.
When I was there the whole week, I went out and I rode with Dan and James. They were two listeners that had like offered to take me on a good ride, and I went out with those guys on my Rascal, and they rode their single speed hardtails and just put my dick in the dirt. I didn't stand a chance of keeping up with them. You know, like they could out pedal me, and then they would out descend me until it got like gnarly, and then they'd be like, nah, 45 years old, I'm gonna walk here. And I'd be like, I'm gonna try to ride this, you know, like that was the only leveling thing. But at the end of the day, we all rode back to town. We got a burger and a beer. It was awesome. And then that was on like a Monday, and then Wednesday I went out with Charlie from I-9 and Jacob and oh crap,
I bet you I have his name. Who you're thinking of? Burke?
Oh man. Anyways, I went out and rode with those guys, and we rode Highline in Sedona, which is like a great ride. And then I spent like the next couple of days like working the event and riding the bike park. So I was like jumping stuff and like hanging out and having fun, but still it was hard. Like there's a bike park in Sedona, and you can do laps of it. And our engineer and COO, like he ripped down, and when we hit like the little bike path on the way back up, he literally was doing intervals up, and he would cruise up, and like if there was no one on the little pad like that was gone, he'd be like, you care if we and they'd be like, go for it, and he'd just be like and then like intervals back up. So we did like 8 laps in like no time, you know, like every single ride is hard. And then after the event, guess what? We went out, we rode Highline again, like as a, you know, as a company. We did a company ride, and we rode Highline, and it was great. Like there's nothing wrong with doing those rides because they're amazing and they're fun, and I meet people and it's really cool. But like I have to be fit. Like I have to be really fit to do that. And, you know, the demo work is actually like extremely taxing. Like if you're out there and you're like, ha, Matt's job is harder than he thought. No, I knew it was going to be hard. It's hard. It's work. If it was easy, it would not be a job. But, and
so you have a reason you have a reason to do it though. Like you have a why to aim towards. You have to be fit to do this kind of stuff.
I do. And the other part of that is like, I don't want to end up where I'm like there and I'm like sniffing these really, really, really cool experiences, but I don't actually go out and taste them. Right. Like if I feel very lucky. I'm paid to drive around the country and go meet people and make like new friends everywhere and ride bikes in cool places. So that's the other part of it. Like it is very hard work, but there's a lot of reward. But I just feel like I need to be fit enough to capitalize upon those things. And let's face it, there's nothing better than like stroking your ego when like the dude that's like trying to, and I say dude because women don't do this to you. Women don't take you on group rides and try to fucking bury you. Not until you're a dickhead. And then they bury you, put you in your place.
Yeah. We're very much so we're dumb. Guys are dumb. We're dumb.
Yeah. Like, but nothing feels better and strokes your ego more than when some person is just like trying to like destroy you up a climb, and you're just like, sup, I'm here. You know, like it's good too because it's validating, whether you want to admit it or not. If I showed up to do a demo and I was like 50 pounds overweight and didn't want to go ride bikes with you, and didn't jump anything, and couldn't pedal hard uphill, couldn't jump downhill, couldn't do this, couldn't do like if I couldn't do anything,
Yeah.
you wouldn't validate me as a rider.
No, they just kind of laugh at you.
Right. But when like I can go out and slap and shred and keep up, and then I'm like, yeah, I just came out of retail and I can compare this bike to these 3 bikes, you know, and this and this and this and this. So, and I'll answer a question about demos because Tammy's saying, can I come to Wisconsin and do a demo? Probably not. With everything that's going on right now, what's happening is
she doesn't mean right now. She just at some point when maybe 2 years from now when we can go out. I don't know.
Well, what's happening is everything from. Why don't you just mute your phone?
Sorry, I'm trying to keep this page open, but YouTube does the thing where it stops. Like it closes the page every time I navigate away from YouTube, and I'm trying to post.
Yeah, that's annoying. I know.
So the problem is
flannel.
Do what?
Andrea, for the flannel. Because Joe was asking about the flannel. What were you posting a link for?
I can.
Oh no! What were you?
It's just a Pearl Izumi flannel. It sounds like he knows about it and how awesome it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Okay. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
What's happening is
you
all the
events don't know what you're doing
from March and April are being postponed, and I had the schedule pretty dialed through like June. I had a plan to have everything set through June, and I was going to try to be home for part of Tour Divide so Andrea could race, I could take care of the dogs, and everything is being postponed into the back half of the year. So we have to accept that the demo season is not a 12-month gig. You know, like there's more. You can't run demos 12 months out of the year. You just run into a little bit of time that
unless you go to Texas.
Even Texas in December is too risky. You know, so where I'm going though is like by the time the time that I thought I would have to add a bunch of stuff into the schedule is being postponed back into that time. So the events that I'd committed to doing in March and April are becoming events that I'm doing in September and October. So that's something that's going to be really tough this year. Is as a brand, we're probably only going to be able to support. No, I don't think this is a thing that's just for Revel and Y Cycles.
No,
I think
this is a big thing. We're all going to be tripping over each other to try to get something, and then we're gonna realize, oh, there's 8 other events going on that weekend. It's just not worth our time to do it. So then there's nothing you could do. Like we're all in the same boat.
Like I had someone asking me if I would prefer this weekend or one of the weekends around this other event. And I like politely answered, and I was like, yo, like those weekends are already like full because someone else has already postponed their event into those weekends. I was like, I'm pretty plugged into this stuff. Here's my phone number. Call, email, do whatever you want. Like I'm happy to share all the like reschedules that I know of with you because things are going to get really crowded for every brand out there. And it doesn't matter if you have 1 truck or 7 trucks. Everybody has March and April events that are becoming September and October events. And if that's the case, it's just going to be a really crowded end of the year. So bring cookies and cake to a demo. Don't bring beer. I can't drink beer and drive the truck. I'll get a DUI and I won't be able to do a demo with you next year. I had to tell one group that pretty forcefully. They were beating me up about not drinking a beer. And I was like, if I get a DUI, you'll never see me again.
Yeah.
And they were like,
drink on the job. That's just the way it works.
I mean, honestly, like I could, if I was at an event and I was camping there and it was a multiple day event, then sure, hand me a beer. I'll drink a beer. I don't care. But like not at 2 p.m. and not before I have to drive. You know, those are kind of my like limitations, you know.
So what kind of cookies?
Yes.
Cookies. The cookie flavored cookies.
There is not.
What's your favorite kind of cookie though? If you were given one chance, are you like chocolate chip kind of person? Or are you like peanut butter kind of person?
I like. Okay, so here I'll tell you this.
Oreos.
I have.
Are you those really cheap like thin wafer things like that come in orange, like strawberry, orange, and vanilla?
Those are good too.
Okay.
Yeah, those are sugar wafers. They're delicious.
Yeah.
But if I had to have any cookie delivered to me, it would be flavored Oreos. One of the things that I've tried to do while on the road.
Really? Of all the
Mint
options,
Oreos
that did you pick?
delicious.
What do you say, Ben?
I said of all the options, you're picking flavored Oreos?
No, hear me out. I'm talking about ease of purchase, simplicity, availability, and consistency, right? Yeah. So Oreos, you can get them at every grocery store. They're always good. Sometimes grocery store cookies are soft. Sometimes they're hard. Sometimes they suck. Sometimes they don't. Yeah. Any Whole Foods cookie, that's a cookie I'll buck with. Like, bring me a cookie, I'll go nuts. Okay. But the thing with flavored Oreos is throughout my travels, I've made it a point to buy whatever flavor of Oreo I've never seen before. And then I just have like different flavored Oreos, like box by box by box. So
are the mint ones still the best?
The mint ones are the ones that I buy for home, but the rest of the Oreos.
Green troll. Have you had the green troll Oreos and Pop Rocks in them? They really have Pop Rocks in them? Is that a thing?
I would try one. Yeah. That sounds like the kind of thing that would make your poop funny colors.
But that's the thing. Like when we look at, and here's the other thing with Oreos, they're vegan. So if someone brings me Oreos,
that's great. That's awesome. Glad to know they're vegan.
And
the palm oil, the first recipe or the first ingredient is palm oil, so that's good.
Anyone that's helping me with the event can eat an Oreo. So like if you brought Oreos and the person from the bike shop was vegan, they'd be like, oh wow, these are vegan. I can eat these.
What if the person doesn't eat gluten? What if they're gluten-free?
Then they don't get cookie happiness because gluten-free cookies aren't good.
They literally have Garrett? They literally have Pop Rocks in them.
I haven't had Pop Rocks in so long.
I know.
I mean, like probably a decade at least.
So Oreos, huh? Different flavored Oreos. Andrew, how
Oreos?
Just make sure if you're his last stop before he comes back to Howard, Colorado, that you skip the Oreos and bring homemade cookies, because I do like homemade cookies better than I like Oreos. So,
if you're making them, I'm eating them. Like,
I think that was the question. Like that was the intent with the question, not how much do you like Oreos.
That we were just talking about it, and I don't think why would he ever talk about this in public ever, right? So, all right. I don't know if anybody had any other questions. Okay, we need to hear some chicken story. What's the news with the chickens? Oh, ha, nothing more true. Cycle Dad, nothing more true has ever been stated. Gluten-free cookies aren't good.
I think it's just more rare to find a good gluten-free cookie. They're just more difficult because
they're called Rice Krispie treats. Rice Krispie treats are gluten-free.
That's true.
And they're good.
Yeah.
But my point is, Tammy, like, okay, I'm gonna go on a rant.
Don't argue with this lady.
No,
you don't need to go on a rant against Tammy's cookies.
It's not against her cookies. I'm just saying that, like, one of the things that I found throughout my life is I have found that if I'm going to enjoy something, I generally enjoy that thing much more if it should have never had the thing we're trying to avoid. So, like, it's not that there's anything wrong with a gluten-free cookie, but if we're going to avoid gluten, let's make Rice Krispie treats. Or if we're not going to have gluten, let's go to just a chocolate bar. Or if we're not going to have dairy, don't give me a cheese substitute. Let's just have, like, not macaroni and cheese. Like that's just how I feel that the world works better. And I can understand that if you're trying to avoid things, and then you eat something that you haven't had in a long time and it doesn't have what makes it delicious in it, you're still just like, that was good. But like, if I have like a gluten-filled cookie and a gluten-free cookie side by side, like I'm probably going for the gluten-filled.
I bet that the gluten-free cookies that Tammy makes are probably better than a lot of like store-bought and even other like poorly homemade cookies with gluten. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, yeah, but I really am trying to like sweet talk some Rice Krispie treats out of this because now I want some. Okay.
So I could say the same thing about, this is the thing that gets me. If you go to the that's why I said that it's vegan option. It's like vegan. If you're going to be vegan, why do you need to go to the vegan section and buy vegan hot dogs? Why do you need it in the shape of a hot dog? You need vegan.
Okay, so I have an answer for this.
Okay.
Because I asked a vegan this one time.
Okay.
A lot of people are vegan not just for health, but because it's like a moral dilemma of like,
it's fine.
So like they're not going to eat animal products because they don't like how animals are treated. But it doesn't mean they don't miss like how a hot dog tastes or having a hamburger or something. They still want a hamburger. They just don't want anything to die for their hamburger. So that's why they want a hamburger that's not made out of meat, but still tastes like a hamburger made out of meat.
Okay. I'm not going to.
That's just that's from my research to actually asking a vegan person that, like, why the fuck do you want a hamburger that bleeds like a real piece of meat? And it's because I fucking love hamburgers, but I don't want to kill anything.
Okay. Fair enough. We're not going to get into the killing things versus not killing things and all that kind of stuff. But I was just curious. And that's why I said when you said Oreos, Matt, and I said vegan, great. Like, if I'm having an Oreo, am I really that concerned? But I guess in that instance, yes. All right. So Tammy said, thank you, Andrea. They are. Couldn't agree more, Matt. Smoking, 1974. Not sure who that is, but hi, Smoking.
Smoking. That's a Jim Carrey reference. Ace Ventura.
That was from The Mask.
Or The Mask, yeah.
The Mask, yeah. It's an old movie already. Oh, have you seen the Nugs commercial? Oh,
you don't watch TV, so you don't see commercials. So no, we haven't seen the Nugs commercial.
Yeah. All right, chickens. What's new with the chickens?
Chickens. I'm trying to find a gosling because I want to get a few chickens to replace the ones that were killed by the hawk. And I want to raise, so if the idea is if like a goose is more watchful than a chicken, and it's kind of like an early warning system for aerial predators. So it's a guard goose, but they don't physically like get in a fight with anything because it's still like a floppy, soft animal. Like it'll still get its ass kicked, but it will see things like a hawk. And if it's bonded to your chickens, which the only way to do that is to raise it with chickens from the time that it's a baby and not with other geese. If you raise it with other geese, then it's a goose and it knows that and it wants to be with other geese. But if you raise it with your chickens, it just assumes that it's also a chicken and it watches out for predators in the sky more so than having another chicken. So I think that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm having a hard time finding a local source, and I looked online. And online, for one, you have to buy at least 3 everywhere I've looked. And also the shipping's like $120 or something because it's overnight with like a heated thing. They send it to your post office, and it's yeah. So I'm trying to find a baby goose locally. That's the current chicken situation.
Couldn't you just get into falconry and have a guard hawk to take out the other?
I don't know if it works like that.
I don't know either. I just thought of that might be something. Huh. Yeah. So yeah, goose. What else? What's next then? So you're gonna have goose and chickens. What else are you guys gonna have over there?
So we have this big area, and I can see it from the window we're sitting in front of, where the previous homeowners dumped. They had goats, and they dumped all of their manure and kind of spread it out in this big sunny area in the yard. So I think I'm gonna make a garden this year. Like I don't know how long I'm gonna be at home, and this has something to do with what Joe just asked us about bike shops being called essential. You know, I just want to, I want to do fun stuff here and not just sit around and wait for myself. Like, so I'm not going, I'll just roll Joe's question to this. how do we feel about states designating bike shops as essential?
Can I say something about gardens first? This is going to be like the record year of gardens. Everybody and their brother between
I learned
people
yesterday
who feel like they're going
to that you can grow pole beans on your corn. So instead of putting up like a trellis, you can grow like a row of corn and then plant a row of beans right next to it, and the beans will grow up the corn.
Corn is not a real efficient use of land, I'll tell you that.
No, it's not.
You don't
His
get
recommendation
much out of it.
is like
a ton of stuff, and it's not nutritionally. As a gardener, I'm not a serious gardener, but as a gardener, that is the most inefficient use of calories there is to plant in a garden is corn. Really,
but it's so tasty.
I know, but it's just it takes like so much room. It takes all summer to grow. You get like 3 cobs, or half of them get eaten by some weird mold. It's just like, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and this guy actually did recommend. He's got an interesting YouTube channel. He's like an urban gardener type of guy, but he really gets somewhat into like a little bit of like prepping and stuff like that, which when you see him and the setup, it doesn't, like, you wouldn't look at him talking about planting and think this guy is planning for an apocalypse. But he did say if you grow corn,
yeah, okay.
What's that?
I said self-sustaining or prepper. You decide what you want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. He's more self-sustaining.
Okay.
But he did say that if you grow corn, you should grow like a hard corn that dries out on the plant and that you would grind into a corn flour.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so that was his recommendation. He said you can do sweet corn, but that was what he said was pretty much what you said. It's not an efficient use of space for calories.
Mm-hmm.
But
sorry,
Joe, to get to your question, no, that's all right. So when the ski areas in Colorado closed, all of the tourists came to the bike shop, and the people at the bike, they wanted to rent bikes, and the people at the bike shop did nothing other than Lysol to deter that situation. So after 2 days of it, I told the people at the bike shop that I would work from home or I would not work. Because I think, and Amanda Batty actually brought this up and is, I think, exactly right. In the United States, in most areas, bike shops are not essential. People are driving there in their cars with their bikes on the back, with recreational bikes on the back. And I think in other places like the UK, someone just said essential in the UK. Like, I think in other countries where bikes are a more accepted form of transportation, it's probably accurate that they're essential. But I think if you live someplace where, for the most part, people ride bikes just for fun, just for fun is not really essential. So I don't totally agree with that. There's always the argument like people are riding bikes to be healthy and get outdoors and stress relief. But as far as essential goes, like, you don't need a bike for that. You can do that on foot, if you really have to. Like, if your bike's broken and your only choice is to take it into the bike shop so you can exercise, well, that's not necessarily true. Like, you can just go for a walk, especially if you have a dog. Dogs are real happy right now. But yeah, so
dogs and children are happy right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't really agree with that. And yeah, that's kind of my, that's why I'm home until the risk of getting sick and getting other people sick is past.
Well, and I can answer to that too. Like, I think there's a big difference between someone rolling into the bike shop with a flat tire in their commuter and saying like, hey, fix this for me.
Yeah.
And as a white guy, I'm going to pick on white guys because we suck usually. When you roll in the door with like your Axis equipped bike and you want the suspension overhauled and new tires installed so you can go mountain biking, piss off. Like, that's not essential. if that's essential, then race car shops are essential. So I can get my new LS swap finished so I can go do burnouts in my yard because it's recreation. Like if that's essential, then the boat shop is essential so I can go fishing. If that's essential,
Yeah.
then the H&E store is essential. Like if
So
it's
that's
for,
oh, go ahead.
it's all about what you're doing with your bike. And in big cities, it's essential. In rural Colorado, where dudes just want to buy $5,000 bikes and get a deal on a bike because they're going to go beat the bike shop up because, oh, you're probably not very busy, but you want to make a sale.
Yeah. So the idea of the essential versus non-essential is I mean, I don't know how you, right? We had to get a quick handle on things. So they basically said non-essential, essential, when really what we need is more targeted, like you're getting at. We need a more targeted approach at what's going on. It's like here in Wisconsin, the thing going on right now here is golf courses. They shut down all the golf courses. So you can't golf right now, but in a month from now, it's like instead of shutting stuff like that down, all you need to do is implement a few basic things. These people are walking around in fairways and all the stuff that are like thousands of yards. I mean, realistically, outside of your little group, you're not going to be doing much, right? So all you need to do is, it sounds simple and I'm making it sound like I know everything, but I don't. It's just all you could do is pay electronically. You show up, you don't interact with anybody, but you pay before you get to the door. You don't have your cart, so you're touching all the different stuff, and you don't have pins in the thing. People can pay, use the green. You are limited to groups of 2, and that's it. Done. Parking, all you need to have limited parking in one spot or another, or maybe just limit the amount of people it can be at a certain time. But we're taking, and I understand, we're taking this big, huge approach and just saying, all right, essential, non-essential, you're losers, you're not, and blah, 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 right? Well, it does. That's what happens is you pit people against each other like Matt was getting at. It's like, oh, so you're essential, but I'm not. And then we're in that discussion instead of like, well, you know what? Those bike shops that are in major metropolitan area, that's a way of getting around and easing traffic off of public transit. Sounds good, right? Right now it's just, it's
well,
like,
I think
what do you do though?
In places like Salida, where if you are hard pressed for it, you can walk across town in 20 minutes. I mean, it's a 2 mile by 2 mile city. Okay, maybe a little longer than 20 minutes for if you had to go all the way across town. But a bike is extremely convenient for commuting in Salida, but it's not totally necessary. It's not mandatory like it would be, if you did live in Denver and you wanted to say, hey, I'm not going to get on public transportation because I don't want to be around a lot of people. Maybe a bike shop in Denver, that's a little bit of a different question. But as a whole, bikes are not seen as a legitimate source. If you ask the general population, I don't mean like the people who listen to mountain bike radio. I don't mean people who ride bikes. If you ask like a straight sample of the U.S. population, is a bike a form of transportation or is it a form of recreation? Most people are going to say recreation. Mm-hmm. And most people are going to say they don't like bikes more than likely, because that's just how the United States is, and that's different in other countries. But here it's not, outside of our niche of cycling, bikes are not considered a legitimate source of transportation. We have to look outside the niche is really what I'm saying. It like what, right. What the larger part of the population thinks.
Well, also like a great way to talk about this is if you are in New York City and you're not a white person and you're riding a homemade converted e-bike to do deliveries, the New York police will confiscate your bicycle because it's an illegal e-bike, and e-bikes aren't allowed in New York City. But if you're UPS and you want to use e-cargo bikes to do deliveries in extremely dense areas, New York says, let her buck, go have fun. So what we're doing is we are playing to a certain demographic, the demographic that is affluent and historically white males are getting what they want, and what they want is to be able to go to the bike shop. I sell bicycles. It's my job for people.
Bike shops aren't going to argue unless they have employees who are like, if we're not going to clean this stuff and like have us isolated, then I'll just go home and do it. That's all. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who doesn't
I mean,
own
I
more
think
than 3? Ron, who doesn't own more than 3? One goes down, grab the other. There you go. There's your solution. So next time, get your shit ready and have another bike that's available.
Right. And people saying that like bikes are essential for transportation. We're not disagreeing with that, but it's just such a small portion of our population that the population as a whole does not accept that it is a legitimate form of transportation.
Yeah, it's
like
a pretty small percentage if you look at facts.
Right.
Which is unfortunate. I'm not saying that is a good thing at all. I think that sucks, honestly. Like, I wish that more people, I wish that it wasn't just like, if I think, the thing that pops in my head, if I think a bike person, I'm thinking of a person that is a recreational cyclist. Like, I know that there are people out there who are just hardcore commuters, and it is their transportation, and that's the only way they travel. And that's wonderful, but that is such a tiny part of the population. That's all I was saying, is it's just, there are so few people that's really important for them. And I wish it was different.
Yeah. All right. That's
and
enough.
in tourist towns like Salida, it's totally different. You know, tourist towns like Salida, it's almost all recreational. And the bikes that people use to commute in Salida rarely see a bike shop unless they need like a new tire or something like that. They're already real hammered.
Yeah. You know, the other thing
like,
go ahead.
I was going to say, like, your bike not shifting perfectly or needing suspension service is not essential. Your bike not having a working chain or a flat tire is essential. So I think there needs to be some caveat about what bike shops are doing, because when we change what bike shops are doing, we change the staff requirement for what is needed to staff a bike shop to keep those essential customers. To only provide an essential service to keep the country running is a much different staff obligation than, let's say, running a bike shop as a bike shop.
Mm-hmm.
I think next we should talk about essential oils.
doTERRA.
I've been using eucalyptus essential oil because, you know, it can heal your lungs if you have lung problems. No, I just like the way it smells, and it feels nice when you breathe it in. It's not focused.
Chill out lavender. There.
I do like essential oils, but I'm definitely not saying that they oh, look at Ben.
What?
He just is spraying lavender oil in his area.
Oh.
You gotta rub it in your beard.
Oh, I already have my organic beard oil in it.
I thought it looked a little prettier than yesterday.
Yeah, I groomed it and I put beard oil in it.
Bacon grease. I think bacon grease is an essential oil. Oh, I need to make cornbread tonight.
Oh my gosh. Oh, bacon grease. That's yeah.
That's one of the essential oils.
There might be some from earlier. I'm not sure. Okay. I don't know. Sorry, were you gonna say something like actually about essential oils?
I like
valuable. Okay.
I think they smell wonderful. I'm not saying they have any type of healing properties, but you know, they are nice. Hermit curmudgeon beard oil.
Is that just Phil Wood grease left over?
Slick honey. I think Brady uses slick honey for his beard too.
You know what I do? I eat my lunch, right?
And you just rub it whatever's left.
When the mayonnaise runs out of my sandwich, I just rub it into my face. But I only use Duke's mayonnaise.
Ben, you're mantastic.
Fantastic. It's a thing. Like, I can't even, like, when you're doing this, I didn't really think about it. When you're doing this, I take something to drink, like a little bit gets stuck here, so then I'm on camera, like doing, you know, this kind of stuff. And it's weird.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Like this.
So we talked about my new SID.
And we're not going to keep going on forever for this because we can do another version of this. But go ahead.
We talked about how I bought Axis, but I haven't put it on yet. Andrea's prediction is that I'll ride my bike single speed exactly twice.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
And
Chill out a little bit. Same as fork 10W 1040. Okay, go ahead. I'm serious now.
seriously, chill.
Yeah.
I don't really. I mean, we talked about cookies. We talked about SIDS. We talked about Axis. We talked about how essential is a bike shop.
We talked about farming.
Yeah, chickens. Oh, you know what chickens love? Chickens love
Mealworms.
Well, they love mealworms, but they also love, like, you know, like the shake. Like you open the package of ramen and you pull the brick out, and there's like all the little pieces that you can't pick up with a fork, anyways.
You like that?
Give chickens. Chickens love those.
They like most things.
They really do eat everything, though, don't they? Yeah. Ticks. I know they like ticks. Do you know average adult turkey eats it's something like 500 ticks a day?
No, but I can tell you this. So this person says 30 weight beard oil. Very important thing is, this is my public service announcement. If you have a new fork, you need to be very careful, and you need to make sure that you punch all the information into the Trailhead app or SRAM Connect or whatever you use to pull up the instructions, because some of the new 2020 product is starting to use a new oil. So they're not going to use 0W30 in the new forks. They're going to use Maxima Plush in 3 and 5 weight. I think, I haven't looked up all the instructions yet, but there is new oil for the new forks, and it is not backwards compatible. So you can't use Plush where you use 0W30. You can't use 0W30 where you use Plush. So they are different, and they are oils that they're working with Maxima on. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you put the right sauce in the right hole, because if you put the wrong sauce in the hole, bad things might happen.
Do you know what goes in the damper?
You don't service the damper.
Ever?
The damper has a 600-hour service, which is a bleed.
Oh, cool.
So I'm not there yet. I mean, I'm only like halfway there. I installed it yesterday and rode it 300 hours.
Man, it's windy outside.
Oh, is that noise?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the screen door on our front porch slamming shut.
Yeah, like all the trees are bending.
Scary.
Probably the windiest it's ever been here.
No,
oh, really? Well, I don't know. The mountains are goofy. You could have one day where it's perfect, and the next day it's like 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I'm curious, before we end this, I'm curious on the garden. You thinking, like, what are you gonna do as far as plants and such? Do you have a plan?
So I think I will do sweet corn, just because I feel like I want beans. And why not, if you can grow beans up a stalk of corn, why not have the thing that you're using to grow beans on also give you a little bit of food? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking corn, beans. Another recommendation the guy made was, he said plant squash in between things, because it spreads out so much that it gives you more ground cover. And what?
Do you just kind of squash it in between stuff?
So, yeah, so I'm thinking squash, because I also really like squash. Will you stop? I really like kabocha squash. It's like green and you can eat the skin.
Oh.
That's just my absolute favorite squash, like winter type squashes, which grow in the summertime here because it never really gets above 80 degrees. But that some kind of green, kale is a little bit better for you, like nutrient dense wise, but we eat a lot more spinach than we do kale, so I might do spinach. Yeah. That's all I've really come up with.
Green. I like the greens because they just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, like Swiss chard, that stuff grows like crazy.
Yeah, uncontrollably. Yeah, it's like uncontrollable. Yeah. So that's good. And it's pretty hardy too. Like you can grow it like right now. You could probably start and it just deals with.
Yeah, my plan is I'm going to pull up. We still have a partial fence where the people before us had a dog yard, and we don't really use it because our dogs could get out of it very easily. So we're, I think I'm going to pull that up and put that up as a fence around the area I want to garden, and then get some kind of netting to go over the top to keep the deer from jumping into it.
Yeah. The deer are.
I think I should get a trap so when the deer jump in it, we have like beef or like meat and veggies.
Yeah, that's pretty sure that's more. You'd probably get in more trouble than if you actually just shot one. Like caging wild animals. I think they would look down upon that.
But what if one just got tangled in my garden stuff and I had to put it out of its misery?
That's different.
That'd be all right around here. People wouldn't care about that around here because the deer. The nice thing about where we live is, so in the city of Salida, the deer are disgusting. Like they're so gross. They're just like rats with hooves, basically.
Yeah, I remember,
you always expect one.
I remember the one
like
in your yard right in town.
Yeah,
and they
like they don't have any natural predators in there.
Yeah.
But the ones that live around us are kind of overpopulated, but there are predators around here. So the really gross ones get culled out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones in Salida, you expect them to like burp and ask you for $1.
These bushes are all you have, you bastards. This is shit.
Pretty much, yeah.
They look at you like, really? Yeah. Okay. So one more. We do have a question here, and then we'll be done. Nathan's asking about gear ratio and gear. So can I, before you answer it, can I just say, like, it's so all over the board. I mean, one day it's not. First of all, like it's really easy to swap things out. So for me personally, I spent like 4 years of that's all I rode. You just swap things out all the time. I don't know. It's not like I'm dedicated 32-20 and then I just figure it out from there. Because if I'm riding where I used to live and going up Waterton Canyon or going up the switchback climb out of Waterton Canyon, I'm not running a 32-18 because it sucks. I'll have to I have no chance of climbing any of it, right? And then it just, when people ask me that, it's like, you have a whole range of cogs to use them. That's all. That's my answer. It was kind of a rant, but it's like, what do you use? It's like, I don't know. What tire pressure do you run? I don't know. How much do you weigh? What are you riding? I don't know.
I never kissed on the first date. No, my gear's really easy. So remember, I live at 7,400 feet. If I do a ride from my house, I'm going to descend to the river, and then I'm going to climb over 600 feet over the course of 3 miles. So it's over 200 feet a mile of climbing to get back to my house. So 32-22, see how it feels? Like, that's going to hurt. Like, I want to run a different gear that I don't have, but that's just not life right now. So like Ben said, just swap stuff out. Like, I don't have what I want, and what I want is stupid, and there's no reason for me to spend money, so I'm just going to ride what I have. And I have everything that you could want. I could run 32 from 16 through 22, and I also have a 36, but I don't think I'm going to run the 36. The only reason I would run the 36 is I would want to build my bike with access with the 36, so I could have like a 36-10 for road riding, but it's just really not necessary. Again, the only reason I might put that on is so when I size my new chain, it's sized for the big chain ring, and then if I want that, I don't have to like buy another chain to run that. So very long answer, but yeah.
Cool. All right. I think that's it. Let's call it good. We can always do this again. So if anybody has any questions, I can't do this.
We should do this every day.
Oh God. So, if you want to, we can. I'm good either way. And then we did. So I don't know if whoever's watching, we did put a link in there too. And Ron, thank you very, very much for throwing some cash this way. That's very generous of you. So thank you. And we'll work on that and get a link in, make sure a link's always in there. So as we do these and you do feel like you're getting some entertainment or value out of it, keep in mind that Mountain Bike Radio, we are a small business as well. So as you're throwing around the help your small businesses thing, if you want to see this thing exist into the future, anything is welcome. Otherwise, I may be out laying in the dirt, and Andrea and Matt and I may be talking to each other as we're sitting in our garden with the only food we have left. So I will put a link in that. So thank you everyone for checking in. I just see more messages coming here. So thank you for everyone checking in. We will do this again. And these guys, it seem like they want to do it, but we'll keep doing this, and future plans too. As we're all sitting around in our houses, I want to get some of the other Mountain Bike Radio people on too, and get some faces to names and just act like we're human and have fun and answer questions and do dumb things. So that's it.
You can also, if you find me in the chat where I replied to people, click on my name and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That helps.
Got them.
There you go. Yeah. No, that's the whole point.
Are you a bacon strip? Because bitch be plugging.
Okay. So smoking 1974 doll hair is incoming. Thanks everyone, Tammy. Thank you guys. So thank you guys.
Thank you all.
Well, yeah, we'll figure this out. So thank you. That's it.
Bye. Bye.